You know, many times when we read the Bible or hear the scriptures read to us, we have kind of preconceived notions and ideas from when we were younger and when we've heard things before and picture in our minds what things are. So today we can see the picture of Samuel going to see Jesse to anoint one of his sons as the next king of Israel. And of course he sees the eldest son, who was of big stature and a real strapping type person, and said, surely this is the one that's going to be the king. And God said, oh no. And he turned down the first 7 of Jesse's sons, and finally they came to David. And God says he didn't choose and didn't look at people the same way that we do. He looked into the heart of a person, into their faith, into what that person was, and so he chose, as we know, David, who became the king and of course was the ancestor of Christ himself. In the gospel, the apostles saw this blind man and said, how come? Why? Why is the man born blind? Why doesn't he have sight? Did he commit a sin? Did his parents? What is the reason? And Christ said there was only one reason: to show the glory of God. And it's hard to realize, because even today, if we see people with disabilities and problems, the first thing we say is, why does God allow this? But every person born is unique and is born of the love of God. Born to love God, to love himself, to love his neighbor. And each person has worth and has an ability that he is able and capable to live. Nothing that God creates is bad. But we have to learn as human beings to accept what we are and what we can do and who we are and who other people are. I think back my first year when I was teaching algebra. A boy in the first row, the first day I was teaching, I was kind of taken aback because one boy had his shoe off and was writing on a book on the floor. And I looked more closely, he had no arms. Yet no rush of concern or anything like that took place with the other kids. He was seen as one of them and no different. He kept up with them, and through the course of the year he was a good student, and he was just one of the boys. Because he accepted who he was, and he was accepted for who he was. And it's important that we accept people for who they are and what they can do. That we not expect people to do more than what they are capable of doing. With Lent upon us now and only a few more weeks left, it's time for us, I think, to look within ourselves and see that the love of God pours to us so that we can pour it out to others. We celebrate Christ's resurrection from the dead. With all the technology and advances we've made to do away with sickness and other things that afflict the human race, one thing that nobody has ever done is to overcome death. But Jesus did. He came back from the death, and that's the foundation of our faith. It's the foundation of why we are called Christians, and it's why we celebrate each year Easter and celebrate the love of God and the love of each other and the love that we should pour out and present so that we can spread the word of God as Christ has asked us to do.